everybody. How's it going? I should do this first. So good in here. Oh, it's not me, it's the sunlight. I'm dead. But I appreciate the compliment. You know what's funny about TikTok Shop? I add this gobbledygook down here from TikTok Shop to our live because it makes them treat me better, which is kind of like an abusive relationship. But back in the day, when I used to have my book listed on TikTok Shop for sale, my book, a book that I wrote with my own brain and my husband made the cover for with his own hands, it used to tell me that it was improper advertising for the book, because the live was whatever it was, book club or slime or whatever, and it wasn't only talking about the book, it was talking about a lot of things. But I wrote the book, so I feel like any live with me in it can turn into something about that book because I wrote it. That was my feeling, so that's why I always added it to the lives. So I was like, maybe people want to know about my book since I wrote it. Fine, I stopped doing it. Now, anytime I go live, TikTok Shop is like, add more products, here's some suggestions, and it gives me things that have nothing to do with the live. And I'm like, I thought you wanted you did this, they're haters. So like what I've added is the Nespresso stuff, I'm using Nespresso, I'm drinking Nespresso, the books we read in this segment, whatever, and the shirt that I'm wearing, fine, I'm playing their game, and I don't care if anyone buys their junk, but like, okay, the books aren't junk. I shouldn't say things like that. Also, no Nespresso is not junk either. But my point is, I think it's dumb that they have flip-flopped on that policy because they made my life such a living hell over it. You know what I'm saying? Does that make any sense to anyone but me, or am I just talking into the ether? You know? You know what I'm saying? I also have a question for you guys. Good morning, Susan. Okay, it is a shame. It's a big shame. And Mary, I'm gonna mail that thing to you tomorrow. Wait, what did Brittany say? Oh no, it was Amanda. It says the nonsense. Yes, it's nonsense. Yes. Also, question. So I'm going to ask you a question, but I want to make sure you don't give any spoilers related to the answer before I say it. So I am not done with the episode yet. So if the answer to this question is yes, please don't give any spoilers. Does anyone else besides Liz and I watch Dancing with the Stars? I'm only halfway through the episode, so no spoilers. No. Did this froth or no? No. Nobody else watches it except for Liz and I. Okay, so then I don't need to worry about spoilers. I was going to talk to you guys about the dances from last night because they were phenomenal so far. I sobbed through most of last night's that I've watched so far. I'm not done. I'm all the way through Jordan. Jordan was the last one I saw. Robert Irwin's dance was very good last night, yes. But I don't know how the rest of the episode goes. I may have seen reruns, but I can't catch it. Yeah, I can't catch them live either because, you know, baby, but I watch it afterwards. So, yeah, it's very interesting. Very good season, very good dances this week. Yeah, I cried a lot through a lot of them. Dylan's, I cried. Robert's, I cried. Elaine's, I cried. Andy's, I cried for sure. All beautiful, so beautiful. Whitney's was beautiful. You know, so nice. I'm interested to see how the rest of the episode goes and who. Don't tell me anything if you know, but I'm interested to see who gets kicked off. Yes, I'm talking about Dancing with the Stars, Grayson. Do you guys watch? Because if so, let's text about it. But I haven't finished this episode yet. I didn't know you and Mabel watched. If you do, I just cried almost the whole time. Yes, it's true, Mary. It's so true. No, I just see TikToks. Oh, okay. Also, Elaine's was uplifting, 100%. Also, yesterday, I saw a picture, 100% Grayson. Oh, that's amazing, Susan. Good idea. Yesterday, I saw a picture of Mabel, Grayson's wife, when she was little, and she looks almost exactly like my baby. So I think my baby might grow up to look like a combination of me, my husband, and Mabel, because she looks a lot like her, like a lot. It was a striking resemblance, and we all agreed. Nothing like a good cry when watching. I know. But as long as it's like a healthy good cry, you know, like not, it was like, you know, really good, like beautiful, positive cries. Mabel's sister-in-law, or Grayson. Mabel is sister-in-law. Yes, Mabel is the blood sister-in-law. Grayson is our sister-in-law by marriage. Mabel is my sister-in-law because she is my husband's sister. So it makes sense that she looks like my daughter because she is her aunt. So if anyone wants to know what my baby looks like, just go look at Mabel. It's funny because my mom always tells me she thinks that she looks like Mabel, and I was like, I don't know, really? And then I saw that baby picture, and both my husband and I were like, oh, she looks just like Mabel. And I was like, wow, Mom was right. She has a lot of her features, a lot of them, yeah. So it's kind of like when Zoe was little and my sister would post a picture of herself as a baby, and she was like, I don't show Zoe's face, but here's me as a baby if you want to know what Zoe looks like, because they were twins. It's pretty funny. You know, it's about consent, obviously, and giving them the choice of whether or not to post their own pictures, but it basically is the same face. So if you want to know what Zoe looks like, just look at my sister, who happily posts her own pictures all the time. But anyway, that's the whole thing there. Why are my glasses dirty? That's the funny thing about someone having a kid that looks just like them, right? Did you get any sister ties? Oh, I totally forgot, Amanda. I'm a dummy, and I forgot. We had such a nice time that day. That was such a great day. I should have done that. Wow, it would have been a great time for it because everyone was in such a good mood. All the kids were happy. My brother's kids look just like me, but he and I look super, really, yeah.
No, you're enjoying. Yeah, we were enjoying life, but we enjoy the Sister Chess too. We think they're funny also. So, okay, guys, look where we're at. We are almost done right here. Look at that. We have like hardly anything left. Oh my God, seriously, Susan, same. True, quality family time is always great. We are on chapter 22. We are on page 346, and there are, if you're keeping track, 469 pages. So we only have a little over 100 pages left, which for us is not that long. So let's get into it and see what happens to our friends, because, you know, I'm gonna have a quick sip more of coffee because I have not slept in a year. Asking for a friend, how much sleep deprivation can you put up with before you just die? I'm just curious. Cause yeah, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. Like falling asleep at the wheel, kind of tired. 21 years. Okay. All right. Well, then I guess we'll be okay then, huh? It wouldn't tell me you were live. Oh, well, we haven't started reading yet. You must nap. Yeah, I don't know when I would nap though. That's the problem. I would love a nap, but when, you know? I don't know when I would fit that in. Average is 5 hours, so I guess your body adjusts. Yeah, I guess that's true. I would love 5 hours if I could get 5 hours in a row, but I'm getting 5 hours in like 1.5 hour increments. Well, the problem with that is that it takes a while to get her to fall asleep. So then I have all this other stuff I have to do while she's asleep. And even if I just sit with her and she does nothing, she doesn't sleep that long. Her naps are not long. She's not a long napper. Like half an hour, usually an hour on a good day. So, you know, I need to use that half an hour to I have so much to do. I'm trying so hard to get that room cleaned out, you know. I made some progress, you know, mailing out the stuff that was purchased and everything like that, but I gotta get the furniture out of there, I gotta get it cleaned, I gotta get the new furniture in, etc. So maybe once her room is set up, maybe she and I will nap in there. We're gonna get her one of those floor beds, like the Montessori floor bed. Why does that seem short? It is short, Liz. It is short. Yeah, even when she's on me now, it's a new thing. She used to sleep for over an hour when she was on me, but like ever since she has teeth now, and ever since she really got into the teething, like the last month, she can't stay asleep for more than half an hour most of the time. It's very short. But I was watching some videos from a sleep consultant, one who does not do sleep training, like cry it out and all that, because I don't believe in that. But she was talking about this age, like the 8 to 9 month age, and she said what is normal apparently for this age is a 30-minute nap, an hour nap, and then a 30-minute nap, and that's kind of what she does. Sometimes her middle one's only 45, but still that's pretty close. And so I was like, okay, I guess she's not that weird. Sometimes her morning nap is a little longer, if, like during book club, if I can get her to sleep 45 minutes, we feel like it's good. Like she's been asleep 28 minutes now, so I'm hoping she stays asleep for another half an hour. That would be great. But anyway, we'll see. It's crazy. My niece will sleep for 30 minutes in her crib, but I'm just like, wow, yeah. Teething tablets help. We have teething drops, these soothing like tea things or whatever, and they help, but they don't keep her asleep, you know. They calm her down, but hopefully she grows out of it. We'll see. Okay, anyway, let's read chapter 22. Chapter 22 is called To the Core. To the core. In the middle of the night, 3 villages in the south of the Eastern Kingdom found themselves under attack. Oh boy, here we go. Soldiers of the Grand Armée invaded the towns and robbed the villages of all their supplies. The villagers themselves were imprisoned and taken back to the soldiers' camp. Only one village had the courage to stand up against the armée, and it was completely destroyed in the process. As far as the soldiers knew, not a single soul had survived the ruthless attack, and when the enslaved villagers arrived at the camp, they were lined up and they were each given a shovel. Their only instruction was to dig. "How far does he dig?" General Marquis asked the masked man, and they watched the villagers work from the general's comfortable tent. "Oh, until they hit magma," the masked man said, and he cradled the dragon egg in his hand, never letting it out of his sight. "It shouldn't take very long for them to reach it. During the Dragon Age, the Eastern Kingdom was consumed with volcanoes. Dragons laid their eggs in the magma because their offspring grew at rapid rates in the heat." "And what happens after the egg is placed in the magma?" the general asked with a sideways glance at him. "I'll let you know," the masked man said, and he held the egg even tighter. He was very tight-lipped, knowing that his knowledge of dragons was the only thing keeping him alive. "You are smarter than you look," the general said. "General Marquis," Colonel Baton called from the back of the tent, "we have finalized our plan of attack for tomorrow." The colonel and Captain Delange were standing over the general's desk. A large map of the fairy tale world had been spread out across it with several flags and figurines placed in strategic clumps throughout the kingdoms. "Does it follow the plans that we discussed?" the general asked him. "Yes, sir," the colonel said. "Tomorrow at dawn we'll strike the kingdoms and seize the capitals. Captain Delange and his men have successfully spied on the kingdom's armies, and we are pleased to inform you that our army of soldiers and recruits is more than twice the size of all their armies put together." "Go on," the general instructed. "The ogres and the 1,000 soldiers will be sent to the Elf Empire to defeat their army. We did not obtain the exact number of the elves in the Elf Empire's army, but we estimate it is only 1,000 or so. The witches and the 300 other soldiers will be sent to the Corner Kingdom to defeat a small army of 200 men or so. The goblins and the 1,000 soldiers will be sent to the Northern Kingdom to defeat the army of 1,000 men. The fugitive animals and 400 soldiers will be sent to the Red Riding Hood Kingdom to defeat their army of 400 men. The trolls and 500 soldiers will be sent to the Charming Kingdom to defeat their army of 500 men, and the remaining criminal recruits and the 800 soldiers will be sent to the Eastern Kingdom to defeat the army of 700 men or so. The troll and goblin territory is worthless to us. They have no authority in this world, so we will not waste men on them. We outnumber the armies every turn, sir, Captain Delange said. That will leave you 2,000 soldiers to lead the fairy kingdom and seize the fairy palace. And a dragon, the masked man reminded them. You'll have 2,000 soldiers and a dragon. How soon will the dragon be ready? Baton asked. Raising dragons is all about timing, the masked man told them. Depending on the temperature of the magma and how much we feed it, it could grow to full size in a couple of days. As long as you keep me around to raise it properly, that is. The general carefully looked over the map on his desk. The commanders in his charge were practically claiming victory already based on the information that they had, but the general was not pleased. There was something about their strategy that did not sit well with him. Are you sure we have not miscounted their armies? The general asked. When the Brothers Grimm described each of the kingdoms to us, their forces felt much bigger. The men returned only yesterday, shortly after you returned from the north, sir, Captain Delange assured him. The armies of the kingdoms have been seen preparing for war in the capitals, and they were all accounted for. The general still wasn't sold on this idea. He had a hunch that they would need to change the fairy palace, that they would need to charge the fairy palace with more soldiers and a dragon if they wanted to succeed. More than soldiers and a dragon, sorry. Very well, the general said. But I want more leverage in soldiers and a dragon before we strike the ferries. I want the rulers brought back alive once their kingdom is seized. Is that understood? Yes, sir, Colonel Baton said. We'll attack the fairy kingdom last, once all the rulers of the kingdom have been successfully retrieved. Captain Delange, make sure that the villagers are digging as quickly as possible, the general ordered. I want to poke the egg in the magma no later than sunrise tomorrow. Captain Delange saluted and headed to the digging site. General Marquis rubbed his bald head, worrying that there was information his men had missed. Lieutenant Rambert hurried inside with wide eyes, excited to tell the general some news. General Marquis, a discovery was made in one of the nearby villages, and I would like you to see it, sir. What is it, Lieutenant? The general asked, as if it was impossible for anything to excite him. We discovered a magic mirror, sir, the lieutenant said. This sparked the general's attention and interest. He knew of magic mirrors, and they held intuitive knowledge about this world. Perhaps the mirror could ease his doubts about the battle ahead. Bring it in, he ordered. And the lieutenant left the tent and returned a moment later, instructing two soldiers as they dragged something square and heavy inside. They propped it up in a corner of the tent and pulled off the protective sheet wrapped around it. The mirror had a thick golden frame with floral carvings and the purest glass that any of them had ever seen. The general walked toward it like he was approaching a poisonous snake. The masked man knew very well what kind of mirror it was, but he didn't warn the general. He was much more interested to find out what the general would see. General Marquis stood in front of the mirror for a long moment, and nothing happened. He waved his hand in front of it, and nothing changed in his reflection. Idiot, you've been tricked, he said to Rambert. There's nothing magical about this mirror at all. Just as the general turned away, the other men in the tent gasped. The general's reflection in the mirror had changed. Instead of a grown man wearing a uniform with decorative badges of honor, a weak little boy appeared. The boy was dreadfully skinny, filthy, and he trembled. He was starving and scared and a peasant. His clothes were covered in holes and tears, and he didn't have any shoes. His left eye was swollen shut from a severe beating. The general had spent his entire life trying to forget this boy, but he knew who he was the instant that he saw him. Lieutenant, General Marquis said in a soft but threatening tone, I want this mirror to be taken out of my tent at once and destroyed. If you disturb me with garbage like this again, you will be next. Rambert and the other soldiers quickly removed the mirror from the general's sight. Although he hadn't even raised his voice, none of the men had ever seen the general so affected by something before. The general continued staring at the corner, even though the mirror had been taken away. Colonel Baton, the general said sharply, I do not want to wait until dawn. Send the armies out to the kingdoms as soon as they are organized. Yes, General, Colonel Baton said, and he left the tent. The masked man and the general were alone. What kind of magic was that? General Marquis asked. It was the mirror of truth, the masked man said. It reflects who someone truly is, rather than how they appear. The general became very quiet and very still. I assume you must have grown up very poor, the masked man said. I guess that explains where your drive comes from. A lifetime of having to prove yourself. The general jerked his head toward him. Don't you dare analyze me, he barked. You think you know me, but you don't know the first thing about me. You have no idea where I came from, what I came from, or what I had to do to become what I am today. The boy in the mirror is a reflection from past and nothing more. He will never have to prove anything to anyone again. The masked man knew better than to play with fire. You're right. I don't know you, he said. So please allow me to ask you this. It's a question I've had since we first met. Why conquer this world anyway? Claiming a different dimension must seem a tad extreme, even where you're from. The general walked to his desk and pulled out a thick book that he kept in the top drawer. He flipped through the book, and the masked man could see the pages were filled with maps and portraits. It was a history book. Where I come from, each era is defined by the greatness of one man, he said. Alexander the Great, Julius Caesar, William the Conqueror, Genghis Khan. They were the greatest conquerors of their time. Soon, a man named Napoleon Bonaparte will join that list of men, unless another man conquers something beyond Napoleon's wildest dreams. Oh, I see, the masked man said. And you're trying to outdo him. But surely you'll both be remembered as great contributors to the French Empire. General Marquis slammed the book shut and put it away in the desk. Perhaps, the general said, but there is only one man there is room for in the history books. Well then. Well then. Yeah, He's gonna be a little disappointed because Napoleon definitely makes it. Okay. All right, the next chapter is chapter 23, and it is called The Elf Empire. Half of the happily ever after assembly armies are in hiding, while the other half stand guard over the kingdoms, Alex explained to the Troblin army. Once we recruit the elf army, the armies in hiding, as well as the ones left guarding the kingdoms, will unite, and they'll charge the Grand Armée together. Should we tell him that he makes it? Yeah, I don't know. Napoleon definitely made him before this, so he is going to be disappointed. I think it's funny that he's like, Napoleon's about to make it into the books, and everyone's like, got some bad news for you about how long you were in the portal. Wait for my signal, and then join us in the Fairy Kingdom. Do you guys have any questions? The Troblin army consisted of a little more than 800 out-of-shape trolls and goblins, many of whom had joined just out of boredom. They were seated in front of Alex in a wooden amphitheater that looked like a donut floating in the great Troblin lake. Only one troll raised his hand with a question regarding Alex's explanation. Yeah, you, up there with the bone through your nose? Connor called to him. What's your question?
If we join the armies of the happily ever after assembly, what's in it for us?
The troll asked. The Troblin soldiers started exchanging whispers with one another. Alex hadn't mentioned anything that they would get in return for helping them. What do you want? Connor asked. I mean, we could hook you up with some, like, sheep or maybe some solid ground. Well, we want our freedom back, the goblin in the back row yelled.
Yeah, we want the right to leave our kingdom,
a troll in the front growled. And the entire Troblin army agreed, chanting, Freedom, freedom, freedom.
Silence, Troblins,
Queen Trollbella demanded. The amphitheater went quiet.
I am insulted that you want to leave this water world that we have just built for you, especially since we recently gained our sea legs.
A goblin in the center of the amphitheater leaned forward and vomited all over the troll sitting in front of him.
All right, most of us have gained our sea legs,
Trollbella corrected herself, and Connor rolled his eyes at their request for freedom. You were put here because you all wouldn't stop enslaving people. My sister and I were enslaved by you not once but twice. Do you really expect us to grant your freedom? Trollbella crossed her arms.
Honestly, I'll never understand why humans take being enslaved so personally, she said. What if my Troblins promise to never enslave anyone again? Will you reconsider, Butterboy?
Connor looked over at Alex. They didn't really have a choice because they needed the Troblins. I mean, I guess, Connor said, and Queen Trollbella clapped her hands happily.
We'll give you a sacred Troblin pinky swear, she said. Everyone raise your right hand if you have one, and point your pinky to the sky and repeat after me. I, Queen Trollbella.
I, Queen Trollbella, the Troblin army repeated.
No, Troblins, no. You're supposed to say your own name, she said,
and they quickly made the correction.
Anyway, I promise to never kidnap, imprison, enslave, or forcefully borrow any human without their permission for as long as I live.
The Troblins reluctantly repeated after her word for word.
Wonderful, Trollbella said. Good job, Troblins. You can rest your pinkies now. Is that good enough for you, Butterboy and Fairy Girl?
The twins sighed. I mean, it'll have to do, Alex said, and the goblin in the front raised his hand. Yeah, you there with the missing ear? Connor called on him.
What will the signal be?
The goblin asked, and everyone turned to Alex, waiting for the answer, including Connor. I'm not sure yet, Alex said. But don't worry, you'll know it when you see it. And Trollbella raised an eyebrow at her.
Has anyone ever told you that you're a little too confident?
She said. And by the time the Troblin army was up to date on Alex's strategy, the sun had set. Trollbella insisted that they stay the night, and Alex and Connor were given a private area on the Queen's floating fort to sleep. This consisted of a wooden floor and a blanket. Alex was worried if she made beds appear with her wand, it would tip over the fort. Beside the water rocking them and Trollbella spying on them every 10 minutes, the twins had difficulty sleeping because of all their worries. Connor, are you awake? Alex whispered to her brother. Do you really have to ask? Connor said. What's on your mind?
I was just thinking about the elf empire, she said. If the trolls wanted something in return for their help, I'm afraid the elves might ask for something in exchange too. Yep, they'll probably just want a bunch of shoes, Connor said. Aren't elves obsessed with shoes? Gosh, I hope it's that easy, Alex said. I'll have to think of something the Empress wants so desperately that she'd be willing to give up her army for it. Good thing you're the next fairy godmother, Connor said. Gives you a lot to work with. And the next morning, the twins woke up with very sore backs from sleeping on the wooden floor. They said goodbye to Troll Bella and climbed aboard Lester. He spread his wings and took off from the water, soaring into the sky. They flew to the northwest around the clouds toward the Elf Empire. The twins were reminded of their voyage on the Granny from up here. The world looked so peaceful and safe from above the clouds. They hoped after meeting with the elves, they would be one step closer to making the world below just as peaceful as the one in the clouds. After a few hours of flying, they arrived in the northwestmost kingdom. Hey, you don't have to wake up. Hi, Smiley Angel. You don't have to wake up. You can sleep. Do you want to sleep? You want to scratch the chair? What time is it? 8:59. Okay. Hi. Hi, Smiley. Oh, hi. Hi. Hello. Hi. Do you want to go play? Is that what you're telling Mommy? That's Mommy's mouth, yes. Where's Mommy's nose? Do you want to show everybody where Mommy's nose is? Can you? You gotta look at me though. You can't see it from over there. It's over here. Hey, where's Mommy's nose? It's not over there. That's the living room. That's not Mommy's nose. That's the window. You're smiling because you think it's funny? You think that's funny? That's right, that's Mommy's nose. Auntie Grayson says good morning. You like how she delays it? Oh yeah, she definitely knows where Mommy's nose is. Yes, I got a video of it actually. She does it, she just did it late. I know, the sleepy wobble is cute. She was like, I don't really want to answer right now, but I will answer because I do know where her nose is ultimately. I do know where it is. I'm just not going to tell you. Right, honey? Where's your nose? Boop. Is that your nose? Yeah? Do you want to go play? There's a book. I know. Don't scratch the book. It makes an awful sound, honey. Yeah, she's got to prove it at some point, right? Okay. Should we go in the playpen? Do you want to go in the playpen? Yeah? You can. Whee! There you go, you're out. Okay, do you want to go in there? Here, I'll put you in there. Ready? 1, 2. There you go. Hi. Hi. Hi, I'm right here. I'm coming. Can you just give me 2 seconds? I have to gather up all our belongings. See, I have to have my book, and I have to get my coffee. You see? But I'm coming, don't worry. See, Mommy's here. And then we just got to put our friends on the Tower of Terror. And 3, 2, woo! Did you see that? Did you see how they floated down? Pretty cool, right? Here, look, honey. Here. Do you want to do this one? Here. Can you put these in the? Can you put these coins in this box? There you go. Whee! You say, whee! Dishes and laundry loaded, now coffee and chill. Yeah. Yeah, we have a box to open from Auntie Ray today, huh? Oh, she's smiling. She knows some good stuff is in that box.
I wish you could have seen the look on my husband's face, right? He was like, "Ooh, can I open this?" I was like, "No." He was like, "Oh." I was like, "I have to open it when I have time to like really process it." And he was like, "Oh, but I could just look and not tell you what's in it." I was like, okay. He loves opening packages. It's like his favorite thing. They flew northwest through the clouds. Wait, we already said that. Sorry. "Look, Connor," Alex exclaimed. "There it is. That's the elf empire." "Whoa," Connor said. "Elves really do live in trees." The entire empire was inside an enormous tree the size of a mountain, and as the twins flew closer, they saw hundreds of homes built throughout the branches. Some were built on the tree like tree houses, and some swung from the branches like bird houses. Some were built into the tree like squirrel nests. Give him one of the kids' crafts so he feels included. I'll do that, right? The leaves were the size of the twins' bodies, and it was as if they had shrunk and entered a miniature world. Lester carefully landed on the strong branch, and the twins climbed off of him. They walked along the branch, which was like a street, to all the different homes, and at the center of the tree, they figured the Empress must live. "I really hope that this giant tree doesn't come with any giant bugs or birds," Connor said, and he quivered at the idea. "Squaw," Lester said, offended by the remark. "No, not you, Lester. I'm talking about like giant crows or spiders or something," Connor said. "I don't want to become something's lunch." Lester suddenly looked terrified of the tree, and he waddled much closer to the twins for protection. "I don't think we need to worry about that," Alex said. "Look around. There's like nothing here." The twins searched the branches below, above, and ahead, and they couldn't find anything. Every tree home was vacant. "Huh. They must have heard about the Grand Armée and left," Connor said. Defeated, Alex took a seat on one of the smaller branches. "Yeah, but where did they go?" she asked. "How are we supposed to find them?" Connor looked around the tree while he thought on it. "Well, a whole empire couldn't have just like uprooted and gone too far without someone noticing." And he froze before he could finish his thought. Another one interrupted it. "What is it?" Alex asked. "Do you remember the last time when you found me in the school library last year, like reading fairy tales?" Connor asked her. "Maybe. Why?" "You said reading fairy tales was like returning to our roots," Connor said. "And then you went on to tell me that certain species of birds and insects hide in their tree roots when their home is being threatened. What if the elves are one of those species?" Alex got to her feet and started jumping up and down. "Oh my God, Connor, you're a genius. I bet the elves never left. I bet if we fly to the bottom of the tree, we'll find the elves hiding." Connor started jumping up and down with his sister. He never missed an opportunity to celebrate his own cleverness. "I'm so glad I remembered that," he said happily, "because I gotta tell you, most of the stuff you say to me goes in one ear and out of crack." The twins had been jumping on a weak part of the branch and fell straight through it. To their surprise, the tree branch was hollow, and they landed on a long wooden slide. The slide traveled through the branch and coiled down a giant tree trunk. The twins screamed and tried to grab a hold of anything they could, but the slide was too slick, so they slid deeper and deeper into the bottom of the tree. The slide finally ended, and Alex and Connor piled on top of each other on the ground. The giant tree trunk was hollow, and they found themselves in a secret chamber at the tree's base. Alex and Connor looked up, and they could see that the slide was one of many that spiraled upward and into different branches of the tree. They had fallen into an escape route. The twins were also startled to see that they were no longer alone. Thousands and thousands of elves were hiding. Good job! High five! You made it in! Good job! What will you figure out next? You can do anything! That was so good. You're so clever. I'm so proud of you. But you got to put the box down. You don't want to hit yourself with the box. Try another one. Here's another one. Give it a go. They were all very short but very thin. Everything about them was pointed. They had pointed ears, pointed jaws, pointed shoes, and some of them even wore pointed cone hats. Their clothing was black and white and asymmetrical. Sounds like the Ozdust Ballroom. They wore vests that buttoned sideways, and their pant legs and sleeves were all different lengths. What's up with their clothes?" Connor whispered to his sister. "Don't you remember the story, The Shoemaker and the Elves?" Alex whispered back. "The elves are horrible at making their own clothes." Upon their arrival, the twins were instantly circled by a dozen elf soldiers. They pointed their wooden crossbows at them, and Alex and Connor threw their hands up.
What are you doing in one of... What are you doing in our empire? One of the elf soldiers asked. Hey, look, we don't mean any trouble, Connor said. We've come to speak with the Empress, Alex said. And the elves shoved their crossbows closer to them. Who are you? A soldier demanded. I'm Connor Bailey, and this is my sister Alex, Connor whimpered, and then he panicked. My sister's like kind of a big deal. She's sort of the fairy godmother at the moment. Connor, what am I supposed to say? They're about to shoot us. Liars, the elf said. Oh, we definitely climb up the gate. Yeah, for sure. For sure we climb up the gate. Don't you, honey? She's standing right now, holding on to me. That's why I'm not worried, because I'm here holding her with my other hand. But she has just pulled herself up to standing. You think that's very clever, don't you? Are you very clever? Are you going to climb up, Mommy? Yeah. Yeah. She's now flopped herself over my lap, so there's that. Alex reached for her wand and with one swoosh magically turned all their crossbows into bouquets of flowers. All the elves in the tree gasped and they stepped back away from her. She's a witch! She's come to grind our bones for potions! Seize her! Elf ordered. The soldiers lunged toward the twins and they braced themselves. Stop! A stern voice from the other side of the tree said, and all the elves quickly turned in the direction that it had come from. Across the secret chamber, a female elf sat on a throne made of leaves. I'm guessing that's the Empress, Connor said under his breath. And Empress Elvina was the largest elf in the room. When she stood from her throne, she towered over everyone, including... You're going to grab the book? That's not very nice. Mommy's reading. Including the twins. It was like she was the queen in a beehive. She had a pointed jaw, pointed ears, large brown eyes, and very long earlobes. That's weird. Very long earlobes, honey. Her dark hair was wrapped in 2 buns on either side of her head, and she wore a large headdress made of branches and stretched high and wide above her. The Empress's gown was very tight and made entirely of sticks and twigs, as if they had been individually glued to her lean body. She looked like a walking tree. Hi. Hey, how's it going? Hello. Hi. Are you a silly Billy? Are you so proud of yourself when you can stand? Yeah, she wants to walk very badly. Hi. Those are Mommy's glasses. You can't have them. You can have so many things, but not Mommy's glasses. Too expensive. Too expensive. Too expensive. Woo! What's this? Is this a piggy? Oh, it's the Brick Pig. Hi, Brick Pig. There he is. A fluffy but massive red squirrel was perched at the side of her throne like an overgrown dog. The Empress slowly sauntered toward the twins, and the elves parted as she moved through them. If she says she's the fairy godmother, then let her prove it, the Empress challenged. She was exactly like Mother Goose had described, very beautiful on the outside, but the twins could tell there was much more behind her intimidating eyes. Hey, Libby. Alex didn't know what to do. She might have been a girl with a wand, but how was she going to convince the elves that she was legitimately acting as fairy godmother? A loud squawk echoed from above them, and the entire empire looked up and saw Lester sliding down the base of the tree. He was flapping his wings madly, but sliding too fast to stop. He plopped on the ground beside Alex and Connor, beak first. He greatly regretted his decision to follow the twins into the tree. We have a giant goose. Does that help our case at all? Connor asked with a nervous laugh. He meant this as a joke, but the Empress was taken by the large gander. I recognize this bird, she said. He belongs to Mother Goose. Yeah, Mother Goose is a friend of ours, Alex said. She loaned us her goose so we could travel safely here to speak with you. I'm Fairy Godmother's granddaughter, and she's ill at the moment, so I'm filling in for her. What's the matter, honey? Do you want this? Or this? Boop. Boop. Empress Elvina's eyes darted back and forth between the twins. Perhaps they were telling the truth after all. Honey, what's wrong? What is it? You want to fly? Unfortunately, you're a human.
We are going on an airplane next week, though. Does that count? Oh my gosh, wait until you guys see the dress she's got for the wedding. You're literally gonna scream. It's so freaking cute. Are you gonna let mommy finish this chapter, or are we in a mood? We're gonna go see Ito at Play Lab later if you can be nice. We're gonna go to Play Lab and we're gonna go see Ito. We're gonna see Ito and his mommy. You excited about that? Yeah, very exciting. I hope you realize that being the fairy godmother means nothing here. The happily ever after assembly has no power or authority in my empire, she said. Yes, we understand, Alex said. We've come here to warn you about an army that's invaded our world and plans to start a war. Yes, we heard about that army, the Empress said. That's why we've taken refuge inside our tree and will stay here until the army is gone. Connor took a step toward her. Yeah, but they're not going to go away unless we fight them together, he said. The happily ever after assembly needs the help of your army to defeat them. The fairies and the humans can't do it alone. Honey, that's not funny. It's very sad. Why are we laughing? That's not funny. You just like Connor's voice? You like mommy's Connor voice? Whoa, grabbing the book? Yeah? Yeah? Are you a cutie patootie? You see the pictures on the back? That's the author. His name's Chris. You don't know anyone named Chris yet. An angry murmur broke out among the elves. The twins could see how outraged the Empress was to hear this, but instead of getting angry, Elvina batted her eyelashes and a smile came to her face. Help? She laughed. You want our help? Did everyone hear that? The fairies have sent the children to ask us for help. Boop. That's Mommy's nose. Only a few of the elves laughed with her. The rest of the chamber glared at Alex and Connor. They were not making any friends. Look, Empress Tree Lady, Connor said. We understand that you're still upset that the elves weren't included in the happily ever after assembly, but if we don't work together, the Grand Armée will destroy us all. Yeah? Is that right? Who's that? Who's that? Oh, wow. Is that Dada?
Hi.
Is that your Dada? Say hi, Dada. Can you say hi? Can you wave? Hi, Dada. Oh, good waving, honey. That's very nice. Good morning, Dada. Yeah, you're excited to see him, huh? Yeah. Baby dragon loves Big Daddy Dragon, huh? Oh, did you hear Daddy's roar? Yeah, it's very exciting. Oh, so exciting. Are you going to walk to Dada? Wow, big girl.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, big girl, come here.
They said you're the cutest growler ever. You have the best growl.
Oh, thank you.
We're almost done with this chapter.
Sorry. How's it, Olivia?
You want your coffee?
Oh, that's okay.
I can get it if you want it.
No. He does. Give you a chapter.
My dear boy, the Empress said, and all the amusement faded from her face. Is that what they told you? That we're upset because we weren't invited to join the little fairy club? Well, if so, it appears that they've rewritten history. Alex and Connor exchanged a concerned look. Okay, then what else are you mad about? Connor asked, and the Empress knew their ignorance wasn't their fault and decided to educate them. The elves were tormented by dragons during the Dragon Age, just as much as any other race, she explained. Our ancestors helped the fairies defeat the dragons, and once the dragons were gone and the entire world entered the peaceful age of magic, the fairies forgot everything we had done for them. They divided the world up among the surviving species. The humans were given very vast, several kingdoms, but the elves were only given a tiny, unlivable piece of land isolated from everyone else. We had been ostracized just as much as the trolls and the goblins, but for no other reason than we weren't human. The twins had never heard about this before. They'd always assumed the elves lived in the far north because they wanted to. When the elves objected to our assigned home, the fairies ignored us because the elves questioned them. Therefore, we weren't invited to join the happily ever after assembly. Empress Elvina continued. The Northwest was full of predators that hunted elves and witches that picked our bodies apart for potions, but the elves had no choice but to live here. Our ancestors grew this giant tree and built this empire high in its branches far away from the dangers, and well, we've been here ever since. Alex and Connor didn't know what to say. Could they apologize for something that happened so long ago? Well, you guys really screwed us over last year when you surrendered to the Enchantress, Connor said, and he folded his arms, so I think we're even. Why were we expected to clean up a mess that we did not create? The Empress asked. There's no difference between the Enchantress and this army. They're both your problems. The fairies and the humans want to choose which issues the elves are involved in based on what's convenient for them. Alex interrupted her before the situation became worse. Your Majesty, every nation will always remember history differently, and that's just how it is, she said. We all live in the same world and won't do us any good if we continue to play this game of who was the bigger jerk for eternity. Right now, more than ever, this world needs to stand united against a force that threatens all of us. We weren't expecting you to cooperate just because we asked you to, so I'm here willing to offer you something in return if you help us fight the Grand Armée. Really? And what's that? The Empress asked mockingly. Yeah, what is that? Connor asked, just as curious. Alex knew that she was going to regret making this offer for the rest of her life, but they were running out of time. Once the armée is destroyed with the help of the elves as the new fairy godmother, I will abolish the happily ever after assembly, she declared, and the entire chamber was astonished to hear this come from her mouth. What? Connor shrieked. What did you just say? The Empress asked. You heard me, Alex said. The happily ever after assembly is unfair and it's exclusive and it's proven to be inefficient in time of crisis. This world needs to march into the future together. So I'm inviting you to help me build a fresh and more inclusive assembly. Join me in creating the happily forever after assembly. This was shocking news to everyone in the room, especially to Alex. She had never dreamed of starting a new assembly to unite the fairy tale world, but she knew the idea of one would be the only way to get the elf empress's attention. The empress sauntered even closer to the twins. The whole empire was on pins and needles, waiting to hear her answer. If the elves join the new assembly, I want to lead it, Empress Elvina said. You should have stuck with shoes, Alex, Connor said, and he slapped his palm against his forehead. The new assembly won't have a leader, Alex said, but you can manage it with me. The assembly will look to the fairy godmother and the empress of the elves for guidance, and we'll advise them together. Alex offered her hand to the empress, and Elvina sneered down at it. She had never trusted a human before, but she knew that Alex was a woman of her word. Empress Elvina shook Alex's hand, and the deal was made. There was no going back now. All right, my army is at your disposal, fairy godmother, the empress said with a small bow. Terrific, Alex said, and she looked over at her brother, who sighed with as much relief as she did. Now that the elves were on their side, they could actually win this war. Okay, well now I want the elf army to follow me into the fairy kingdom immediately, Alex said. I'll signal the other armies throughout the kingdoms to join us, and we'll strike the Grand Armée before they... But then, a deafening noise filled the giant tree as it was hit with a cannonball that blew apart the tree trunk to bits. The twins and the elves hit the ground, and the sunlight filled the dark chamber, pouring in from an enormous hole that had just been created. They were too late. The Grand Armée had started their attack. A thunderous sound erupted as another cannonball hit the tree, followed by another and then another. What is happening? The elf empress screamed. Oh, it's the Grand Armée, Connor yelled. They're here. The elf empire's under attack. The elves started to panic, and they ran around the tree in hysterics. Everyone remain calm, Elvina shouted. I want everyone to climb to safety at once. Our army will stay behind and fight those invaders. Alex looked at her brother like a deer in the headlights. In a matter of seconds, their entire plan had just gone astray. Connor, what are we going to do now? Alex asked. We need the elves to go with us so we can strike the army as a whole. We're going to have to get out of here and come up with a new plan then, Connor said. If the army is attacking, I doubt the elves are the only ones they're attacking. But the elves, Alex pleaded, well, we need them if we want to win. We don't have a choice, Alex. We have to leave now. Connor grabbed Lester's reins and forced his sister onto the large bird. He climbed on the goose's back himself, and they flew higher into the hollow tree. A cannon blasted a hole through the tree trunk near the top, and Connor steered Lester through it and outside the giant tree. The twins could see 1,000 soldiers and hundreds of ogres surrounding the elf empire. The soldiers redirected their cannons toward Lester, and the twins, soon as they were spotted, emerging from the trees. The ogre grabbed the boulders from the ground and threw them at the goose along with the cannonballs. Lester squawked in terror as he narrowly dodged the cannonballs and boulders jetting toward him. He flew as fast as he could away from the elf empire's tree. They created a distraction as the elf army began firing their crossbows at the soldiers from inside. The citizens of the elf empire also began dropping giant acorns and twigs on the Grand Armée from the branches above them. Just when the twins thought that they had flown out of cannon's reach, a rogue cannonball bolted through the sky and blasted through Lester's right wing. The gander squawked in pain, and he and the twins began rapidly descending toward the tree on the horizon. Lester flapped his left wing as hard as he could, but it wasn't enough to keep them in the sky. They crashed onto the ground in the forest. The twins were thrown off Lester's back and into a separate direction through the trees. Connor hit a tree and landed in a shrub underneath it. Alex skidded across a grassy field and heard a crunch underneath her, and when she came to a stop, she reached for her wand, but it had been snapped into several pieces in her pocket. Alex and Connor were too wounded to get to their feet. They had each broken several bones in their body from the crash. They heard Lester squawking in the distance. He was in perhaps even more pain than they were. They heard the attack on the elf empire continuing in the distance, but there was nothing they could do. They looked at the trees around them and wondered where they had landed, but their vision faded away as they both slowly lost consciousness. The war had begun. Sad. So sad, honey.
So Napoleon's attacking the elves?
It's not Napoleon. It's someone who wants to show up Napoleon and who is... Oh, what page? Sorry, I threw the book away before looking at the page. We are on, for those keeping track, page 368. 368. So that's not great for anyone. Alex and Connor have multiple broken bones. Lester has a cannonball through his wing. Real sad. And the elves' homes are completely under attack, honey. I know. Listen, I'm just as upset as you are. So we're going to go because this little lady needs to eat a little bit of breakfast before we go to a play place with her friend. But we will see you all. Yeah, thumbs up for the book. Thumbs down for Lester. We'll see you all tomorrow as we continue. We'll probably finish this book by the end of the week, it's looking like, which is pretty cool. So we'll see you all later. Tomorrow we are going to the library after book club, which means we will get new books for baby book club. Very, very exciting. Have a great day, guys. Bye.